Okay. Good morning to everybody from New York to Eretz Yisrael to Morocco to Point Pleasant to Lakewood to Philadelphia. We have Kenny there. So Baruch Hashem for Zoom. It accomplishes what it's supposed to accomplish. You think about it.
To parts unknown.
Parts unknown. Excuse me, Dove. Okay. Now we're familiar with Pigel by now. If you're not, you haven't been listening. And there are a lot of pitchifkis of pickle. And today's sugya, the Mishnah, this is sugya of pigel. So let's reiterate what exactly pigel is. There's 4 avodas adam, right? And in one of the avodas, you had almanas lizroig to do this rika, either chutz l'makoim or chutz l'zman. Chutz l'makoim means that chutz le'azara, chutz l'mizbeach, right? You're not doing it as we supposed to yesterday. We said on the mizbeach, different places. That's not chutz l'makom. Chutz l'makom means chutz l'mizbeach, chutz le'azara, right? In addition, or you have the svara of lizroik, do it chutz l'zman, the next day. So the pigel is finalized in the zerika, fellas, and pigel is one of 2 things: achilas mizbeach or achilas adam. So therefore, the machshava to be makdir the emurim, that's achilas mizbeach, or lizroik the dam, which is achilas mizbeach, 2 things, the dam and the emurim, would create pigel. In addition, if you do zrika almanas for the person to eat the basar, chutz l'zman or chutz l'makom, would also create pigel, because it's 2 inyanim of achilas mizbeach and achilas adam. In addition, we know that there's a difference in chutz l'makom and chutz l'zman. Chutz l'makom is pigel, but a person who eats it is not chayiv karis. A person chutz l'zman who eats it would be chayiv karis. So these are different halachas of pigel that we've been associated with, and today's Gemara will go over those halachas, and we're going to digress from. So there's a helicopter, which is not common, in Yerushalayim. Anytime there's noise above, there's always ever something. It's not like America. So the today's daf, the first part of the daf is going to deal with the or of the aliyah. The aliyah is the tail of a kevesh, of a sheep or a ram that is part of the emurim. It's part of the fat that's burned on the mizbeach. Okay, and we're going to deal with pigel and digress and focus on this or of the aliyah, and then we'll get back to pigel. So let's begin. We're on the Mishnah. We're up to the Mishnah on Chaf Zayin Amid Beis. So again, that's the shchita is the first of the avodah. Lizroik, again, remember it has to be in the pigel in the final avodah, lizrika. Lizroik damai, so it's achilas mizbeach, b'chutz l'mizbeach, ay miktsas damam b'chutz, or miktsas dam chutz l'mizbeach. So the first, again, that's the first aspect, achilas mizbeach, the dam. Lahakte emurim, to burn the emurim b'chutz, ay miktsas emurim b'chutz. So now again, this is the second achila of the mizbeach, the haktara of the emurim, or even part of the emurim, b'chutz. So in both cases, guys, we've dealt with the achilas mizbeach, and we dealt with the machshava pigel of chutz l'makom. Now, what about the other aspect? Lechol b'soroi, this is achilas adam, b'chutz l'makom, or kezayis mi b'soroi, or only, you don't have to be in the whole basar, even a kezayis mi basar b'chutz, or lechol kezayis me or ha'alya, this is we're going to digress, or to eat a kezayis from the skin of the alya, b'chutz, in all these cases, pasal vein by karis. So again, based upon the hakdama to the shir, it fits in beautifully. We discussed the achilas mizbeach vis-a-vis the dam, vis-a-vis the emurim. We discussed the achilas adam vis-a-vis what basar, and we mechadish that it doesn't have to be what in all of it, even part of it, and the machshav of chutz l'makayim would be pigel ve'ein by kares geschmack. In addition, we threw in this ora alya. There must be a reason, right? So it's mashma this ora alya. We're gonna have machlokes in the Gemara. Is it ka'alya dami and it's achilas mizbeach, guys, or it's or achilas adam, right? In other words, guys, if it's basa that's not burnt on mizbeach, it's achilas adam. So the alya is burnt on mizbeach. How do you view the ora alya? I'm getting ahead of myself, but Be'ez Hashem, we'll get there. Now, what about the machshav? The same Mishnah with the machshav of chutz l'zman. The same Mishnah with the machshav of chutz l'zman. So what is that? Lizrei tomer limachar. Next day. Miktsas tomer limachar. Next day. Lahakta emuriv limachar. Again, to burn the next day. Ay miktsas emurim limachar. So this is the achilas mizbeach chutz l'zman. Lechol bisrei l'machar. This is achilas adam chutz l'zman. Ay kazayis min basel l'machar. Ay lechol kazayis me ora alya l'machar. This is achilas adam chutz l'zman. Then pigel. In that case, it's going to be pigel and chayav kares. So, okay. Now, from our Mishnah, it's mashma that the orha alya is there's a din of pigel. Now, it can be machmas two ways. It can be because you're burning the emurim, or it could be because what? It's achilas adam. Yes. Now it depends what it is. Says the Gemara. Savrua, they held to say, the Bnei Yeshiva held to say, or alya ke'alya dami. The or alya is ke'alya dami. No, so now, if it's the alya, it's a murim. If it's alya, it's a murim. Fred the Gemara v'hakam mechashev me'achilas mizbeach le'adam. You're mechashev for achilas mizbeach le'adam. If you have in mind to eat the orha alya chutz l'makam and chutz l'zman, your machshava achilas adam with the ora alya, which is what? Is a murim. You're mixing and matching. In other words, we spoke about the hakdama was there's achilas mizbeach, achilas adam, achilas a murim, achilas adam. So if you're going to tell me that the person had in mind to eat the ora alya, either chutz l'makam or chutz l'zman, correct? So you're mixing up two things. If you tell me the ora alya has the din of alya and you're thinking about eating it, Hashem, it's a murim. It's Hashem's mizbeach. It's not yours. How could you go ahead and be machashev for achilas adam to achilas mizbeach? That's what the Gemara is suggesting. And for the Gemara, Shmuel, we have three terutzim to the kasha. Again, what's the kasha? If the ora alya is ka'alya dami, that means it's a murim. If it's a murim, that means it's burnt on mizbeach. So if you have the machshava to eat it, what do you mean to eat it? That you're thinking about what? Achilas mizbeach vis-a-vis adam. That seems to be a chiddush. So Shmuel says, here's the chiddush. Hamani, who's the Tana of our Mishnah? It's Rebbe Eliezer. It's the Tana of Rebbe Eliezer, who we're going to see later on in Daf Lamed Aleph. The Omar, mechashvin me'achilas mizbeach le'achilas adam, me'achilas adam le'achilas mizbeach. We can mix and match. Ditnan, for example, hashoichet es hazevach lechol davar shein darkei lechol, to eat something that shouldn't be eaten, meaning the emurim. Lahakter davar shein darkei lahakter, or to burn the part that goes to adam on the mizbeach, right? Lahakter, the steak that's supposed to go to the adam. So you thought about doing that chutz l'bachim chutz l'zman, right? Then what? Kosher, it's kosher because you can't mix and match. For Rebbe Eliezer, paisel, and Rebbe Eliezer says it's pasul. So therefore, our Mishnah that says if you have in mind to eat chutz l'zman, the orha alya, despite the fact that the orha alya is a murim and you have in mind to eat it, like Rebbe Eliezer, it's not a problem because he told us in Daf Lamed Aleph that's the din. Guys, we're good. B'may ukimta. How you setzen it ein? B'may ukimta. How you setzen it ein? Ki Rebbe Eliezer. Ema seifa. Let's look at the seifa Daf Chav Tes Amid Beis. Zeh haklal. Here's your rule. Kol hashoichet. Anyone who does the first avodah of shchita, v'amakabel, the second avodah of makabel, v'amoilech, the third avodah moilech, v'azoyrik, the fourth avodah zrika, lechol davar shedarke lechol, ulahakter davar shedarke lahakter. Right? It has to be what? something that normally you put on the mizbeach. What's the inference? Davar lahakta, davar shedarka lechol in shein darka lechol loy. It's got to be something that what you're doing it something to eat or to burn something to burn, but not to mix and match. Again, you're telling me I can go ahead and have in mind, like Rebbe Eliezer, to eat the oralia. The next Mishnah says, what's the rule? It's got to be davar shedarka lechol, meaning not the oralia, because the oralia is burnt, it's not eaten. So you have the ratio being Rebbe Eliezer, Daf Chavtes, the sefer of this Mishnah being the Chachamim. We, for symmetry purposes, throughout Shas, we want Rebbe, when Rebbe organized the Mishnah, he should organize it according to what? One Tana. Says the Gemara, davar shedarka lechol in, that to eat, shein davar lechol loy, asan l'rabbanon. Incredulously, as to the Gemara, Reish Rebbe Eliezer of Sefer Rabbanon, Amalei in says Shmuel Einachinami. Says Shmuel, you're right. Einachinami. The Reish is Rebbe Eliezer, who said you can be machashrei but the arla, despite the fact that it's a murim, and the safe is the chachamim. That's Shmuel. But guys, what's the key? That ora alya is ka'alya dami. That it's what the ora alya will view as the alya. It's the murim. Just for your purposes, guys. If you're viewing a tail. It's not just the tail. We're going to see it's the bone of the alya, the bone of the alya, and expanding downwards, that whole area. So it's not just a wagging tail. If you think about it, that's the part the emurim. It's the part that in the back of the animal where the bone is, it extends down. That's the alya. It's not such a part, not a little tiny piece. It's not a little tiny piece, right? Anyway, geschmack. So therefore we have the kasha and the teretz. It's Rebbe, the Reish is Rebbe Eliezer, the Sefer is the Chamim, that's Shmuel.
It's part of the hindquarters, I believe, correct?
Yes.
The
Yeah. Versteht the hindquarters, but it goes past the kidneys. Like there's the shtei kloyos, and then past that.
Oh, even further. Wow. Okay.
Further than that, and it's only in a kevesh. There's no din of aliyah in an ace. In a tzig, there's no din of an aliyah. There's only in a shepsla, in an ayel, not or a par. There's no din of ayel. It's special ayel. Again, the very famous story of Yehuda ben Beseira, right? With the guy on Pesach. This guy who dressed up every year as a Jew would go up and he says, boy, they treat me so well. I eat so well. Gavaldig. He goes, what did they give you? And they said, he goes, they didn't give you the aliyah? He goes, no. He goes, well, you missed the best part. The next year he went up. He went ahead and he asked for the aliyah. They said, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira sits in, I think, Nitzivim, and his Ashbaz felt that. In Yerushalayim. That's the famous story with the Aliyah. Rav Huna says, Or Aliyah, lav ka'aliyah dami. The Ora Aliyah is not like the Aliyah. The Ora Aliyah is not like the Aliyah. Right? So it has a din mad of Achilas Adam. Guys, so now the Mishnah, you read it perfectly, right? You weren't machashev from what? You were not machashev from Adam to Mizbeach, right? Mizbeach Adam, guys. You machashev just Adam. In other words, it doesn't go on the mizbeach, the or of the aliyah. The aliyah, yes, the or aliyah, not. So Rav Huna Amar or aliyah lav kaliyah dami. Where does he know this from? Amar Rava. My time with Rav Huna. The pasuk says, "V'hikriv mizevach hashlam ishul Hashem chelboi ha'aliyah tamima." What does chelba aliyah mean? Chelba aliyah, the fat of the tail of or aliyah, and not the or aliyah. So in other words, as we say in Yiddish, feintish on the kasha. The kasha didn't even begin. You know, what did he do? He shechted with lizroik, what lechol, the ora alya, and achinami. It's the same thing as a steak. It was the ora alya. It's the same thing. It's a piece of meat. It's not the emurim. So according to him, there's nothing to talk about. It's lav kal yadami. That's the second teretz. Rav Chisda Amar. Rav Chisda says oilam ara alya kal yadami. He holds like Shmuel that the ora alya is ka'al yadami. Now, here's the problem. So now you're going to say that he agrees with Shmuel that the Reish is Rebbe Eliezer and the Sefer is the Chachamim, right? V'chacha b'mayaskinon. What are we dealing with over here? Be'alya shel gedi. We're dealing here in the Mishnah with the alya of a gedi, right? Now, guys, Pirish. Or alya ka'al yadami. What is that? That's a sheep. That is a murim. The aliyah of a gedi is not a murim. So memela, it's geshmak. You will machashe for achilas adam for adam. Because the Mishnah is not speaking about the aliyah of a what? Of a sheep. It's speaking about the aliyah of a gedi. So we have three shittas. Let's go through the three shittas again. We have the shita Shmuel, Rav Huna, and Rav Chisda. What's our problem? The Mishnah said that he went ahead and he does a zrika al manas to eat the or ha'aliyah. And he said Yechayev. Okay, now 1 second. He's going to go ahead and eat the or aliyah. If it goes on mizbeach, how could he eat it? Like what are you talking about? You can't. You mechashev for something on mizbeach for Adam. Says Shmuel, you're right. It is supposed to go on the mizbeach, but however, this is Shitas Rebbe Eliezer. If you do have that machshava, it creates pigel. And the Reisha that says the sefer that says not like that is the Chachamim. Reisha Rebbe Eliezer sefer Chachamim. Says Rav Huna, no, it's not a kasha whatsoever, because Ora Alya is lav kalya dami. What is it? It's a chilas adam. So you machashiv a machshava pigel in something that a person eats. So it's not a kasha at all. Comes along Rav Chisda, and he agrees that Or Ka'alya is kalya dami. And what? So what you gain over Shmuel? And the Mishnah is like the Chachamim. You know why? Because the Mishnah is speaking about the aliyah of a gedi. The aliyah of a gedi is achilas adam. It's not achilas mizbeach. So they agree by kevesh, and they disagree by gedi. So you have two man amrim saying Rav Chisda and Shmuel saying ka'aliyah dami. Rav Huna saying lav ka'aliyah dami. And very geschmack. We have three ways to go ahead and learn pshat in our Mishnah. Vaita. Now, what did each one not like about the other one? Okay. Kishmuel lay amri. Rav Huna and Rav Chisda did not like Shmuel's teretz. You know why? Reis Rebbe Eliezer v'Sefer Rabbanan loy mukmi. It's fair to say that the Reish is according to one and the Sefer is according to another. So we won't set sign like that. Kirav Huna loy amri or alya kalya dami. Kamashma lahu. It's mashma that the or of alya is like the alya, and therefore what? It's a chilas mizbeach and not a chilas adam. So that's what Shmuel and Rav Chisda did not like about Rav Huna, saying the Or Alya is not La Alya. However, Rav Chisda might time Amri. In other words, Rav Chisda said a Geshmak Shat, guys. He said, you know what? Or Kalya is Kalya Dami. And therefore the Or of a sheep is a Murim. And our Mishnah that you mechashiv to eat is speaking about a Gedi. And that's a Chilas Adam. What did Shmuel and Rav Huna not like about Rav Chisda's teretz? What did he not like about Rav Chisda's teretz? Says the Gemara, they said, you know what the kasher is? My kamashmalon. What's the chiddush? Or alya ka'alya dami. Tanina. Ve'elu she'or seyem kibesaron. The Mishnah, this is in Harva Reitiv. You have this is the Indian guys, Tumas Nevela or Tumas Eichlin. What's considered an Eichel? What does it say? Ve'elu she'or seyem kibesaron or shetachas alya. The or that's tachas alya, that is considered what? That is considered an achila, right? So look at Rashi, my kamashmalon. Nice Rashi, guys. My kamashmalon. My kamashmalon Tana de Masnisan. According to Rav Chisda, what is the Tana of our Mishnah teaching me? Iba aliyah shel gedi koiv. It's speaking about the aliyah of a goat. Iyanit b'shlema b'shel kevesh. If you're telling me it's a sheep, kamashmalon l'shmuel. According to Shmuel, you'll hear a chiddush. The mechash me'achilas adam mizbeach mechilas mizbeach achilas adam Rebbe Eliezer. You hear that chiddush that you can mix and match. Ul Rav Huna, what chiddush do you hear that it's speaking about a sheep? The muki like Rabbanon, that he sets down like the Rabbanon, right? Ashmin and Tanadi done. The or alya is lav kalya dami lak tiroi linyan aktara. It's not okay. So you had a chiddush according to Shmuel, and you had a chiddush according to what? According to Rav Huna. El Rav Chisda, who says it's speaking about a goat, Lamali lemisni. Why do you learn it? What, according to him, Lamali lemisni. Why did you have to learn it at all? Ila ashminan the or alya le'inyan achilas adam ka'alya dami. Guys, by telling me, right? By telling me it's speaking about a goat, you're telling me that the or of the alya is ka'alya dami, is considered like a murim. Elinyan achilas, what? The or alya le'inyan achilas adam ka'alya dami. You're telling me that what? That right? Yeah, it's very this. I don't know. Something's up. The Lord Rav Chisda, what's the chiddush by saying that what or is ka'al yadami? We know that's linyan tuma. It's ka'al yadami. Says the Gemara. We have a Mishnah. Says Rav Chisda. It's the. You have to tell me that what le'inyan. You have to tell me that le'inyan pigel. It's ka'al yadami. Sakdei mina hani linyan tuma. You know what's ka'al yadami? That's linyan tuma. The rochich. It's very soft, and therefore mitzaref. It's mitzaref for what? You're speaking about achilas tumas oichlin. Mamish, you need a dover oichel. So I'd say from that Mishnah, that's le'inyan aliyah. But masha'en came what? Aval hacha emel l'moshcha. I would think that to eat l'moshcha l'gedula kederusha malachim oichlin v'le'avidim malachim the achli. They don't usually eat what? They don't eat the aliyah. Hach emeloi. I would think that it's not a machshava of pigel. In other words, or ka'al yadami linyan tuma. But le'inyan what? Linyan machshava. We're speaking about achil of an animal. The lemashcha is supposed to eat it in such a chashuv way. So I might think that the machshava of ora alya is not a machshava's pickle. Kamashman is machshava pickle. Kamashman. So those are three shitas. Meisivei. We're going to ask. Hashaychet esa oila. Okay. Now, until now, we're speaking about the machshava of achilas adam. A zevach. It's shaykh achilas adam. You have machshava of eating adam. An oila is totally burnt. So now, hashoichet esa oila lahagdir kizayis me'or shetachas aliyah. You have a shchita and you're gonna burn the or that's underneath the aliyah. Chutzlim kaimai pasal ve'makaris chutzlis manoi pigel v'chayim makaris. So you see the Indian Haktara, guys, the Ora Aliyah is considered a Murim, right? Everything's a Murim. But this is, guys, remember, this is Indian Haktara, not Indian Achila. Be medayik, the word Oila, okay? Now, Elazar ben Yehuda Ish Avelim, that's not a common name. Oimem Yishum Rav Yaakov, V'chein Hoy Reb Shimon ben Yehuda Ish Kvar Ikum, not a common name. Oimem Yishum Reb Shimon, Echad or Beis HaPrasais, whether it's the or of the hooves, the hema, daka, the echad or haroy shel egel harach, the echad or shetachas alya, that's what we need. Whether it's the or that's tachas alya, the chol shemanu chachamim gavetuma ve'elushar seim kibesaram, and all the things that in that mishnah the chachamim counted. Lehevi or shel beis haboishes, to include the or of a female loisim makam, chutz l'makam possibly mekaris, chutz l'mizmanei pigel v'chayil mekaris. Now, so you see over here that the or that's tachas oila le'inyan haktara is considered right part of the aliyah. Oila in aval zevach loy, but the inyan shlomim it's not. So it's a kasha. How could you tell me? So who's it a kasha on? L'chayr it's a kasha on Shmuel and Rav Chisda. L'chayr it's a kasha on Shmuel and Rav Chisda who say that what? Okay. Bishleim el Rav Huna Haina diktani oila. Very good according to Rav Huna. That's why you learned oila. You know why, guys? Because by a shlomim, it's lav kal yadam. Again, why was the shita of Huna? That was the middle shita. That the ora alya is lav kal yadami. So therefore, you had to tell me what le'inyan oila it is. Since le'inyan zvachim, le'inyan shlomim, it's not. You had to tell me le'inyan oila it is. Gishmak. Elo Rav Chisda, my ear yiditani oila lisni zevach loy Rav Chisda, right? Loy Rav Chisda. Now, why didn't include Shmuel? Why wasn't the kasha on Shmuel? Shmuel also l'chayra. Rashi's going to bavarn it. El Rav Chisda that said that the alias emurim or is right. You should also learn zevach because again, or ka'alya is ka'alya dami. So I'm Rav Chisda iba yisema ba'alya shel gedi. You know what the chiddush is? The chiddush is that it's speaking the inyan the oila that then it's a chelik me'murim. The inyan, it's speaking ba'alya shel gedi. It's speaking ba'alya shel gedi. Look at the Rashi, the first white line. Iba yisema hachma sislan that we just mentioned. Nami ba'alya shel gedi. It's speaking about the aliyah of the gedi. V'lei misti le zevach ba'alya b'machshavas haktara el machshavas achilas adam kimas nisan. In other words, if the or aliyah is only is ka'alya dami, but that Mishnah is speaking about the or of a gedi. Le'inyan haktara, the or of a gedi also goes up. In other words, you machadish over there, the inyan gedi, that's part of the imurim, because by Yinoila, everything goes up. Masha'en came by us, the Gedi is not only an Aliyah, right? That would be the teretz, one teretz. So the reason why we went ahead and the reason why it says Haktorah over there, L'chayra, according to Rav Chisda, Zevach, also it is part. It's speaking over there, but it's speaking about a Gedi. And the Chiddush is, since the Gedi, Le'inyan Achilas Adam, is not Ka'al Yadami, you had to tell me Le'inyan Haktorah of an Oila, it is. That's the Chiddush. What's the Kasha? Freding where Kasha, you see over here by Oila, you had to mention Or Tachas Alya. I l'chayrit should be l'zevach also. If our tachas alya is ka'al yadami, why do you limit it to haktara even by a zevach where you're not burning it? It also is. You should include it. So teretz is that's speaking about a gedi. And what's the chiddush? Since the gedi by shlomim is not alya, you had to tell me by oila it is. That's one teretz. Another teretz, einachinami, very easy. Just go tani zevach. Go ahead, what and learn. Zevach. Go ahead, what, and learn Zevach. Okay, I didn't understand why they didn't include Shmuel in the Kasha, because Shmuel also holds or Gedi is or Ka'alya is Ka'alya Dami. The Rav Huna, guys, Rashi. Let's see the Rav Huna. Right about 5 when it gets thin, 5 lines up. The Rav Huna the Amar Behedya Ma'ate Kro Gabe Alya, who says Chelboy, right? Veloy or Dinahave Murim. Avagabe oila like imit. By oila you don't have it. Hanasachim, hanetachim for ora alya basahu. So in other words, what was Rav Huna's din, guys? Chel boya alya tamima v'loy wat v'loy or. So or kalya was lav kalya dami. Therefore, you had to tell me by oila. It is kalya dami. El Rav Chisda the Amar Gabe alyasa emurim or nami kariv listening zevach stama. Like him also that. So I don't know why they didn't include Shmuel. Shmuel also said or Kali Dami.
It doesn't say anything about Shmuel in the Rashi.
Yeah, I know. I'm wondering that. Bottom Taisvis. Yes, the Kasha. Guys, bottom Taisvis. El Rav Chisda, my area the Tani Oila, listening Zevach, Lishnumu like Kamakshe, Lama Li Lemisne Oila, listening Zevach. The Tani Zevach having Minallah Kerebi Eliezer. Very geschmack. If you would have learned Zevach, you would have said it goes according to Rabbi Eliezer. Again, Rav Chisda says according to the Rabbanon. He would say, okay, it's not a kasha like him. You'd say this just like Amish is like Rabbi Eliezer. That's also like Rabbi Eliezer. Very geschmack. Taisus answers the kasha. Baruch Hashem. Okay, so very beautiful. Okay, very geschmack. Okay, now we begin the sugya of pigel. Okay, so we finished the sugya or alya. We have a 3-year machlokes, Shmuel, Rav Huna, Rav Chisda. We have kashas and everything is geschmack. Now, we said again, the mashav of pigel in one of the 4 avodas to do the zrika. It's a chutz l'makam, chutz l'zman, and it has to be zrika is achilas mizbeach, or burning the emurim, or achilas adam, or guys even spilling the shirayim. Putting it down in Mizbeach, putting the shrine down also will be machshav of pigel, despite the fact that it's not ma'akiv, that the shrine is not ma'akiv. The carbon is good carbon after the zrika. That's a chiddush that even achilas shrine does haste achilas Mizbeach, and Mamela it's shayach a dinner of pigel. Okay, very good shma. Minoani mili. How do you know this halacha? Sama Shmuel says Shmuel the following. Okay, guys, this is going to be very helpful. There's 2 psukim that deal with pigel. One in Parshas Tzav and one in Parshas Kedoshim. Here's the one in Tzav, right? Actually, this is. Do you have Yud Ches? You have Yud Ches? Great. V'ma'ochel ye'ochel mibsar zevach shlomav bayom hashlishi. And if you'll eat from the zevach shlomav on the 3rd day, lo yiratzeh. Hamakar v'soy lo yichashev lo pigel yiyeh. V'nefesh acheles mimenu avoyne tisa. And maglisi avoyne means an issa of karis. So this pasuk must be speaking about chutz l'zman. The pasuk in Kedoshim is v'meyachol yachol misar v'yom hashlishi pigel hu lo yiratzeh v'oichel avoyne yisa ki es kodesh shem chilel v'nichos nefesh mi'amecha. So now you have a very long pasuk in Parshas Tzav, a shorter pasuk in Parshas Kedoshim, right? And here in Parshas Kedoshim it says v'nichvasa nefesh ahi. Good. We're going to say the following: this pasuk is speaking about Zman. This pasuk is speaking about chutz l'makom, and therefore this pasuk v'oichla, which is speaking about Noiser, it says nichvasa, is going back on this pasuk that's speaking about chutz l'zman. It's very convoluted, guys. It's very convoluted. So the Gemara is going to have a problem if this is speaking about chutz l'zman and Noiser. Let's go ahead, since it's right next to it. We should say that chutz l'zman is chutz l'makom is the chi of karis, not chutz l'zman. So these are the psukim which we're going to be, again, the whole Gemara is predicated, the whole shir is predicated on this Gemara. So again, here's the given. Chutz l'zman is karis, chutz l'makom is not. But in both cases, they're puzzle, right? And what's the source for this? It's going to be a two-part share. I think I'm going to wait for tomorrow for the Ella, but we'll see. I'm not sure. We'll see how the flow goes. So with that pasuk in mind, let's begin. You have two psukim, one in Tzav and one in Kedoshim. Mahi, Amar Rabba, Shlishi. Now this is speaking about the long pasuk in Parshas Tzav. Zeu chutz l'zmana. So when the pasuk, I'm going to put it up on the screen. When this pasuk says, guys, over here, Shlishi, that's chutz l'zman. And then when it says pigel over here, that means chutz l'makom. Right now, guys, look at it. Mimenu, from it, is a lashon of singular. So I have two pigels. I have b'yom hashlishi chutz l'zman. I have pigel chutz l'makom. One of these two is avoyin tisa, will get chorus. One of these two. Got it? Chutz l'yom hashlishi is zman. Pigel chutz l'makom. And one of them will get chorus. Mimenu echav leishnayim. Zeu chutz l'zmanoi. Continues the Gemara. Which one gets chorus? The one that's chutz l'zmanoi. Ulmaute chutz l'mkoimoi. Frag the Gemara. Ve'ema. Va'nefesh ochecheles mimenu zeu chutz l'mkoimoi. Ulmaute chutz l'zmanoi. Guys, so why did you opt to say that the singular is going back on Shem HaShlishi, chutz l'zmanoi? I could just as easily said it's going back on pigel, which is chutz l'makom. It's right in front of you guys, right? The pasuk right in front of you. There it is. It's right there. So you're saying it goes back to A rather than B. Say it goes back to B rather than A. Says the Gemara, mistabra chutz l'zmanoi odif, the pasuk B. You know what? It's A. It's the opening remark. It's the opening yisser. So if it's the opening yisser, mistama, it's more chomer than B. The chutz l'makom. Says the Morad the Rabbi. Chutz l'makom adif the samich lei. Guys, look at the pasuk. I have a choice of A, Yom HaShlishi. I got a choice of B, pigel. You tell me nefesh echeles mimenu goes back to shlishi, right? Because why? Because it's we opened up with it. I would say it goes on B because it's right next to it. Pigel chutz l'zman, chutz l'makom, v'nefesh echeles mimenu from it. What I left off with. So I don't have a hachra either way to say it's going on chutz l'zman. If you go to samich lei, it's chutz l'makom. So why do you say it's going back to A, chutz l'zman? Ella, this is not working. It may work on the Zoom screen. It's not working in Pshat, right? Ella, Amar Abaya, Ki Asa Reb Yitzchak bar Avdimi, Amar Rabba. Let's change the girsa. Samich Adatani on the following. The Tani Kishu Oima Shlishi b'Parshas Kedoshim. Okay, guys, here's Parshas Kedoshim. Here's Parshas Kedoshim. Now, guys, look at the screen, please. If it says Yom HaShlishi over here and it says Yom HaShlishi over here, I don't need two psukim to tell me chutz l'zman, right? We have a rule in Shas. Im einay inyan lekan tenei ledavar acher. So if I'm not going to use this Yom HaShlishi for chutz l'zman, what will I use it for? Chutz l'makom. Again, we're getting off the Shlishi Pigel. We're getting off that. And we're saying this pasuk al karchach must be speaking about chutz l'makom. because I don't need it to tell me chutz l'zman. I have chutz l'zman from here. Okay, so says the Gemara. Adatani kashu shlishi b'parshas kedoshim to you. Shein tamid loymar shari kvar nemar, because you already told me in Parshas Tzav. V'meyochel yochel b'sad zevach hashlamim b'yom mat shlishi amid beis. Im eino inyan l'chutz l'zmanoi. Guys, I don't need a chutz l'zmanoi. I have that from Parshas Tzav. Teneo l'inyan chutz l'mkaimoi. Use it for chutz l'mkaimoi in Parshas Kedoshim. Umi rachmana gabe noiser. Guys, look at the pasuk. Look. V'oichlov. This is speaking about noiser, guys. Okay, I want to do something. You see pasuk A? You see pasuk A? Right, pasuk A? We need pasuk Vav. B'yom Zevachim ye'achel umimachras. Eat it today and the next day. V'anoiser yom hashlishi ba'esh yisaref. Okay, so this is nicer, guys. Next, this is Parshas Kedoshim. V'mochel yochel b'yom hashlishi. This is chutz l'zmanai. Chutz l'mkaimai. Chutz l'mkaimai. Why does it say v'oichlov, and the one who eats it avoina yisa ki es kodesh Hashem chilel v'nichvasa nefesh me'amecha. So by Parshas Tzav it just says the word avoin. It does not say what you're going to get. In Parshas Kedoshim it says you're going to get kares. Good. Now, is this kares going back on pasuk Vav of b'yom chutz l'makoim, or is it going back on or pasuk Vav? Excuse me, nicer. Or going back on pasuk Zayin chutz l'makoim. V'oichlov, and the one who eats it, okay. Now we're saying eats it is going back on pasuk Vav. The one who eats nicer will get kares. Good. Yeah. Yes, Nasan.
Didn't we learn all this from Parshas Tzav? What are we learning it again from Kedoshim?
We did away with Parshas Tzav. We said it doesn't work because
Zman or neither works.
Again. You could tell me shlishi is zman, and you could tell me pigel is chutz l'makom, but you can't tell me that zman is chayiv kares more than makom is chayiv kares.
Oh, right. Why that one over
there? Makom is chayiv kares because it's right next to it, right? So in other words, I need another source for it. So therefore, we're rejecting that initial Ella, not nothing. Ella. It's a new teretz, guys. So again, this teretz is predicated upon the following. Look at me, guys. When it says this is chutz l'makom. Why is it chutz l'makom? Because this pasuk is chutz l'zman. If it says yom hashlishi over here, I don't need that. So this pasuk must be speaking about what? Chutz l'makom. So now I have a pasuk of nicer, I have a pasuk chutz l'makom, and now I have a miyut. V'oichlov, and someone who eats it, what is carrying an aveira? What's he going to get? He's going to get kares. Now, right now, the Gemara is saying this is not going back on chutz l'makom; it's going back on nicer. It says avoin by nicer. It says avoin, guys, by chutz l'zman. Avoina. So just like nicer avoin is kares, so to avoin is kares, and therefore this pasuk is not kares. That's right now. That's the limit right now. I'm glad the screen is in front of you. I think going back with psukim is very, very good. So now let's see. Let's see what we got. So the top line again. Imenu inyan, if I don't need Parshas Kedoshim to tell me by Meshlishi, l'chutz l'zmanai, because I know that from Parshas Tzav, t'nei l'inyan chutz l'mkaimai. Use it for what? Chutz l'mkaimai. Umi rachmana gabe noiser, and we have a miyat regarding noiser. It says v'oichlov, those who eat it, the noiser, avoina yisa, will carry his iniquity. L'mu'ute chutz l'mkaimai. This would exclude l'mu'ute m'kaimai from the din of noiser, which is kares. So there's Uriah, guys. There's Uriah. Okay, let's see this. Let's see it outside. One more time. Look at the chart again. Look at the psukim again. Here's the limit right now, guys. It says Yom HaShlishi here. It says Yom HaShlishi here. This is clearly chutz l'zman. Therefore, this is chutz l'makom. Then the pasuk before said noiser, and it says va'oichlav. Anyone who eats noiser is going to get what? Kares. So Memela, it says oven over here. It says oven by chutzlas man, therefore you're going to get karis. The Gemara obviously is going to ask, maybe this is going back on chutz l'makayim. Let's see. Read the Gemara yet. The aim of oichlav avoyne yisa zeu chutz l'mkaymai. Guys, look at the pasuk. And if a person eats on the third day chutz l'mkaymai, pigelhu lo yiratzeh ve'oichlav, and someone who eats it will get karis. So why do you say it's going on nicer? Let's say it's going on chutz l'makayim, and therefore you wouldn't have a source for chutzlas man. Ulamute noise mikaris, says the Gemara. Mistaber noise havile leukmi bekaris lemigma oven oven lechutzlas man didami. Okay, so it's peledic. Listen, guys, the whole reason we're saying that this va'oichlav is going back on noiser rather than what chutz l'makayim is to make the gzera shava oven oven. Why? Because chutzlas man is similar to noiser in two ways. One, they're both an Indian of zman. You're being makravit chutzlas manoi, or you're left over the carbon chutzlas manoi. And in addition, they're both noyig bibama. Mashenkin, there's no shvara of chutz l'makam bibama, because as we saw earlier, the whole world, there's no issa makam bibama. So in other words, given my druthers to compare chutzlas manoi to noiser versus chutzlas manoi to chutz l'makayim, good. In other words, I could do the following. I could say that karis is going on noiser and comparing chutzlas manoi to that. I can say karis is chutz l'makayim, and I'm comparing chutzlas manoi to that. In other words, why would I do that? Says the Gemara the following. It makes sense to go ahead and say the oven is speaking about noiser, to make the gzera shava oven, the chutzlas manoi, the damilei, biz zayin beis. The zayin is man, the beis is bama. Says the Adarabba, l'chutzlam koimi havi leilu ukmei bekaris, l'migmar oven l'chutzlas manoi. Guys, you hear this then? Guys, according to this, you be chayiv pigel both chutzlam makam and chutzlas man. If this avoyin oichla yisav is going chutzlam makam, and then you're learning avoyin, then it comes out that both are chayiv karis. Now, why would it make sense to go in that direction? Because chutz l'zman and chutz l'makayim are equal in four ways. To noiser, it's just two ways, zman and bama. This is equal in four ways. What's the four ways? The damilei b'mikdash. Mem is machshava. It's both an is a machshava. Kuf is ktsas. You don't need the whole meat, only part of it. You don't need all the dam part of it. Right? Dalit is both isur of dam, and shin it's both yom hashlishi. So in other words, if I have a choice to compare chutz l'zman to noiser, chutz l'zman to chutz l'makayim, I'm going to go chutz l'makayim. So guys, I just destroyed your pshat. We just destroyed Abaya. So if you're waking up right now on a Sunday morning in New York, or I don't know what time is in Morocco, right? But he doesn't know either. Whatever time you're waking up to, right now we don't have a source for chutz l'zman being chorus, chutz l'makayim not. We don't have his man. Okay? Now, Elo Rabbi Yochanan, Tani Zavdei Bar Levi, Asya Kodesh. We learn Kodesh from Achilas, but like Rashi says, Kodesh, the high va'oichlav b'noisa ksiv. Guys, what do we have to prove? Guys, look at me. If we prove this oichlav, right? If we prove this oichlav is going back on pasuk vav noiser, rak than pasuk zayin, then I have a great limud, right? What's the limud? It says oven by noiser. It says karis. It says by chutz l'zman, right? It says by chutz l'zman. It says oven. So that was the only problem. You threw a wrench in saying this oichlav is speaking about chutz l'makayim. I'm not locked into that. I can say it's speaking about noiser, and once I can say, of course, we're gonna have kodesh. Once I say it's speaking about noiser, then I have a good limud. Because then I can go ahead and say oven to what the chutz lizman. Let's see it inside. So says Rabbi Yochanan in the name of Zavdi Bar Levi. He learns in Zavdi Bar Levi. Asya kodesh ksiv hacha. It says over here the oichlav avoina yisa ki es kodesh Hashem chilel. You can see in front of you. V'nichvasa uksiv hasam, and it says by the miluyim. B'sarafta es hanoiser ba'esh, right? And it says, V'em yivasim b'sar mluim and amlechem an abayke v'sratis a nice beish ki lo yachol ki koydeshu. I don't have that pasuk ki koydeshu. Ma'ala halon nicer avkan nicer umir rachmana gabe nicer v'oichla v'voni yisa l'mute chutzlim kaimai mikares. Good. So guys, here's the limit. Take a look. 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 Take a look. I know when it says over here, v'avoina yisa ki es kodesh uchilel, I know it's speaking about pasuk vav and not pasuk zayin. I know it's speaking about noiser and not about chutz l'makayim, because by the miluyim it speaks about noiser and it says the word kodesh. So kodesh teaches me that just like the miluyim is speaking about noiser, for oichlav is speaking about noiser. Okay, now if oichlav is speaking about noiser, it says avoinai over here, right? And it says by chutz l'zmanoi avon over here. Now I have a source for chutz l'zman being chayiv vad kares and not chutz l'makayim. Right in front of your eyes. Nothing, you got a kasha?
Is there any difference, avoina tisa and avoina yisa, zachar nekeva?
I know oven. You have the same root word, oven. Gesei Rishava, if it's always better to be exact, but we know, Rabbi Yishmael, famous Rabbi Yishmael, Avoah Kohen, V'Shava Kohen, it doesn't have to be, that, and this is much more exact than that. If you'd have a more exact limud, you'd be correct in saying, why did you opt for this? But in oven, it's certainly, okay. But so we have a Geshmak limud, guys, right? It's a lumdish limud. One pasuk, now everyone agrees that Pashas Tzav is speaking about Chutz L'Zman, guys, right? Everyone agrees. Now, if this is speaking of Chutz L'Makam, you just threw a monkey wrench into the works. But if this is speaking about Chutz L'Zman, then I have oven from Nicer. I know Oichlav is Nicer, Kodesh Miluyim, and everything is Geshmak. Frag the Gemara Akasha. Okay. Umay Chaza Dekro Aricha B'Chutz L'Zmanoi, Ushlishi the Parshas Kedoshim Tiyu Chutz L'Mkaimoi, Epechana. Guys, let's say this pasuk is chutz l'makayim and this pasuk is chutz l'zman. They both say Yom HaShlishi. Maybe this is chutz l'zman and this is chutz l'makayim, and chutz l'makayim is a chi of karis and not chutz l'zman. How do you not know that? It says Ma epech mistabra aricha b'chutz l'zman the gomer oven minaiser the lamelei bezab. You know why? I know that this pasuk in Kedoshim is going to be similar to the pasuk in Tzav because of this is nicer, and this is something similar to nicer. What's similar to nicer? Chutz l'zman, right? Similar in the fact that what it's man and beis it's bama. It says the other rabbi, aricha b'chutz l'mkaimoi ushlishi b'goyshim tiyu b'chutz l'zmanoi mishum dedamilei, right? Because since it's damilei, samche chutz l'zman to nicer, guys. This would make me think, if this pasuk and pasuk ches is speaking about nicer, then pasuk zayin the Malcha Yachal is also speaking about about chutz l'zman. Since it's similar in character, they're both zman, right? This is an issa chutz l'zman, and nicer is left over zman. If that's the case, then the chi of karis, right? Then this oven would be going back on what? On pasuk. It would be going back on Avoine Tisa, and then it would be Chutz L'Makim, that's a Chi of Karis, not Chutz L'Zman.
But then what do you do by Yom HaShlishi?
What do you mean?
Because now you got...
This one is Yom HaShlishi speaking Chutz L'Makim. This Yom HaShlishi is speaking Chutz L'Zman.
Okay.
That's it. You're going to use one or the other. So again, one more time. Adarabba, Aricha b'Chutz L'Mkaimai. Let's say the aricha, this pasuk, the long pasuk, is speaking chutz l'makayim, and that would create the relationship of oven to nicer. Ushlishi the kedoshim tiyay b'chutz l'zmanai, mishum dedamilei samchei. Right, guys. So dedamilei samchei v'kom emayetlei. So let's go. Let's finish up. We're going to finish here, guys. We're going to finish that. We don't have a source. Watch. If this is speaking about chutz l'zman, right? Chutz l'makayim, and this is speaking about chutz l'zman. And this is speaking about nicer. And what is it saying? Ve'oich love. And those who eat nicer will get karis. Those who eat nicer will get karis, but those who eat chutz l'zman won't get karis. Fellas, look, if Pasuk Zayin is speaking about chutz l'zman, then it won't get karis. You only get karis because of the relationship of avoinoi avoin, from karis to here. In other words, whatever's in Parshas Kedoshim is going to, in Parshas Tzav is going to get karis. If it's chutz l'zman, then great. If it's chutz l'makom, we have a problem. So now, we wanted to say the following. Pasuk Tzav is chutz l'zman. Pasuk Zayin in Kedoshim is chutz l'makom. Va'oichlav is noiser, and it's a lashon of yachid, only noiser and not pasuk Zayin. So therefore, pasuk Zayin is makom. You're not going to get. What will you get? Chutz l'zman. That would work. Fred the Gemara, why do you say that? I could say the following. I could say this is speaking about chutz l'makom. But Yom HaShlishi means chutz l'makom. This pasuk is speaking about chutz l'zman. Why would you say this is speaking about chutz l'zman? Because pasuk Ches is speaking about noiser, which is a din in zman. That would create the similarity between Zayin, chutz l'zman, and noiser, which is zman. And it says oichlav. So oichlav noiser gets kares, but this does not get kares. What would get kares? Chutz l'makom. So right now, at this point in time, we're holding, we do not have a source that how do you know that there's a din of kares wat by chutz l'zman rather than chutz l'makom. And tomorrow, Bez Hashem, we'll get to Rav's pshat.